I'm going to show you how to draft a full-fledged writ petition using Google Bard now. If you don't know how to do it, you have no idea what you're missing out on. Litigators can do it. Interns should learn how to do it. We're going to dive right in. I'm going to take a mock situation of pollution caused in northern India due to crop burning and construction and vehicular pollution. I'm going to ask Bard to help me and draft a writ petition for me, which I'll file before the Supreme Court. Let's take a look. So I go into my Google Bard. If you have a Google account, a free Gmail account, you can use Google Bard. It is entirely free. And that's the beauty of this exercise. So I type here that I intend to file a writ petition before the Supreme Court of India under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. And writ petitions are filed when fundamental rights guaranteed under Part 3 are violated. Tell me what further information you need before drafting this petition. So I give it a very little brief about the legal point so that it can have some sense. Good thing is that I don't have to remember a whole checklist of questions or data to feed in. But then Bard tells me a whole list of questions and it asks me on which fundamental rights are violated, what are the facts. And I should provide these things in as much detail as possible if I want a near real draft. It asks me the list of the respondents, the relief sought, petitioner details, and any additional information, which might be useful and very useful questions on that. That have you filed any other legal proceedings related to this matter, or is there any ongoing investigation or inquiry? And I provide the requisite details to Bard, and I'm not sure that it'll do a good job, so I give it all the details. But what I ask it to do first is to just prepare a list of dates. I'm going to show you this part. Like, see this prompt. Before you draft the petition, draft a list of dates first, which will be filed with the petition. The list of dates has to be in a tabular format. And look at how I'm explaining the format of the list of dates, because this is the important part of the prompt. So with one column indicating the dates and the second column indicating the detailed events that have happened on those dates. And then I also say that it has to be in chronological order. And then I ask Bard to act as a lawyer and draft the same. So I get a decent list of dates, but there's a problem. From a court's perspective, this is not detailed enough. So at each date, the event needs to be written in more detail. Now, what brief do I need to give Bard here? So I just let Bard know that retain the format, because every time I'm instructing Bard, this is how Bard works, I need to tell it what it got right or what it needs to retain. Otherwise, it will do an omnibus change based on your instruction. Okay, so I wanted to retain the format, but I wanted to make the events more detailed. And also say that the last entry in the table will be the date on which the writ petition is to be filed. Leave the date row blank, because as you see, that entry is not there in this list of dates. So you'll have to keep iterating with a few prompts till you get the desired answer right. And then finally, we get a more detailed chronological table of events. Now, this is a good list of dates. Every event you can see is mentioned in great detail. And now I can actually use it in a real petition. Okay, now I go below. Now I ask Bard to draft the writ petition based on the format. Now, this format is again mentioned by me clearly. And I also in brief explain each element of the format. So I'm going to expand it and show you. Introductory paragraph, mention under which provision you are filing the petition and why. In brief facts, all the facts given to you have to be reiterated here in chronological manner. All the supporting documents have to be mentioned here and have to be attached as annexures. Questions of law, for example, whether the action of the state is in violation of Article 14. I gave it one example of question of law so that it can frame similar questions on its own. And I ask, draft at least 6 questions of law, right? And then number 5, grounds. This has to contain elaborate legal grounds on which the petition is being filed. Draft at least 8. 6, prayer. This is the relief that you are seeking. And sign off with the name of the advocate. Right? And I get a pretty interesting one. You can see here in the Supreme Court of India, writ petition, details, names of parties. So my name stating that I am representing this NGO. This is all there. If you see the chat transcript, you'll see in the list of facts. And I've given it the list of facts in great detail. Okay. And then it mentions the name of the parties. This was also provided to it. Okay. Now it's going to act as per my format. So it's mentioning the article under which the writ petition is being filed, the introductory paragraph, brief facts, very well written and bulleted, questions of law, numbered here, right? And then it stops. like randomly. I mean, as though like a kid, it is waiting for your validation or approval. And indeed it is. So you say continue, and it continues to draft more questions of law, and they're pretty good. Then we move on to the grounds. Okay. And the grounds I have one issue with is that it's not mentioning the legal aspect. In grounds, for example, it says the failure to address air pollution has resulted in numerous deaths and severe health complications, causing immense suffering and violating the right to a healthy environment. Now, where is the legal aspect here? For the legal aspect. So that is why I ask again to retain the format, but to elaborate the grounds. And I say use legal provisions to justify them. So now ChatGPT has made better grounds. For example, we see the first one, failure to fulfill constitutional obligations. Here it is saying clearly that constitutional obligations under Article 21 of the Constitution are disregarded. And then it explains that how air quality has deteriorated, causing death, severe health complications, and immense suffering to victims. And this constitutes a clear violation of their fundamental right to a healthy environment, enshrined in Article 21 and recognized by numerous judicial pronouncements. Pretty good. And similarly, there are other grounds that are drafted too. I'll share a link to the chat transcript, which is below the video. Okay. Now, so I tell ChatGPT, good, retain the grounds, and now put the entire draft together, because I want one draft, right, at once. Now, here again, sorry, did I call it ChatGPT? It's Google Bard. Anyway, so I say good, retain the grounds and put the entire draft together, and Google Bard is giving me the whole draft. But again, like a young kid, it is asking me for validation, and after drafting partially the questions of law, it stops. And then I have to say continue with the questions of law. And then it mentions all the grounds. And then I have to say continue. And I don't have to tell what to continue with, that it knows, but it's waiting for me to say if it's okay, because it's not going to produce everything together. So I say continue, and it gives me the whole prayer. And this is good because I can use this, right? Then I go into asking it to draft a synopsis, and I say, can you draft a synopsis for the writ petition? It has to start with an introductory paragraph and has to contain a summary of the grounds on which the writ is being filed. This part of the prompt is really important, otherwise it will give me a random synopsis. Even now, it is not giving me a good synopsis, you can see, right? And it is just giving me bullet points with just grounds for the writ, which is not going to work. Okay, and a brief of the relief sort. So I ask it to change it, and I said, don't use bullets, make it paragraph wise. Then I get a para-wise version of the synopsis, which is pretty good. Now I can ask it to make some changes. Problem here was that there were no legal provisions, and it's important to mention important legal provisions before the Supreme Court in the synopsis itself. So I say retain structure but use legal provisions. Now this is what a good lawyer who knows how to do the work will be able to do, and somebody who doesn't know how to do any writ petition drafting will not be able to use AI. And even after knowing how to draft a writ petition, you'll have to learn how to use AI to draft such petitions. Now, Google Bard gives me a very good draft. You can see Clean Air Foundation writ petition to address air pollution crisis in Delhi NCR. Nice heading, gets my attention to the point immediately. And then it gives me enough paragraphs mentioning legal articles here. You can see Article 21, Article 19(1)(a), 19(1)(b). So we know that it has some element of law and the rights that are being violated. Awesome. Now I can use it and I can deploy it in my real draft. I create a real draft, but of course there are some human-made changes which I do in my final review because I want to make a few tweaks. Okay. And I'm dropping a publicly shareable link below this video so you can take a look at this human finalized writ petition also. But now one thing you might want to know is how do I export it out into the real document? So I click here. I can do many things. Okay. I can export to documents, but this will export only the last version, the last prompt. And as you saw that Bard did not give me the full petition in one go. So I will have to actually copy each part. So I can click here and click on copy, and I can copy each such part into a legal document, which is what I did here. When I created this petition, I copied every answer of Bard that I was using together, and then I did the formatting as per the Supreme Court practice guidelines. Okay. So how did you find it? Like this, you can draft literally any other petition. If you know the rules for drafting, you know how to use AI with the right prompts, and you add a final level of human review. So I'm going to sign off and let me know which documents pain you the most and what you'd like me to teach in our next video. And definitely don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you.